morning, friends. Greetings and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I'm your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and sometimes deadly medical procedures. If you suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your health and vitality and well-being, and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body, you are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health challenge. That is why we are here every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up the sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 32 years of practicing pharmacy, I have seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes, hypertension, obesity, skin diseases like acne, psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds, recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle, but what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human biological system is a healing system, it's a regenerating system. It is designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis. And while some folks may call that a miracle, it really is just the way the body works. If you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, we can help you do that. Our phone number, 844-236-6010, 844-236-6010, and we welcome your phone calls. We love hearing from our smart, bright side listeners. If you have questions or comments about the longevity products or Truth Skin Health products, the health challenge that you or loved one needs help with, 844-236-6010 is our number. Formulations, ingredients, success stories, or if you just want to contribute to the conversation, 844-236-6010. Is our number on The Bright Side. If you want to purchase longevity products or sign up to join the Bright Side Ben team, if you're an entrepreneur or you're entrepreneurially minded, if the entrepreneur lifestyle appeals to you, if you've been in network marketing before, this is just a great business opportunity. It's not for everybody. It does require some work, but not much, because basically when somebody uses the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and they've never supplemented before, or even if they have supplemented before, that's all it takes for most folks. If that sounds appealing to you, please call 866-735-2470 or click on the Join the Team link. For a one-time $25 fee, you can start a longevity business by clicking on the Join the Team link at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. Okay, welcome back to The Bright Side. We have been talking about macronutrients, micronutrients, energy in the body. It's really all about energy, folks. That's what health is. That's what the lack of health is. At the cell level, it's about energy. We always say all disease is cell disease. It's all about all illness really is about the cell, the health of the cell. As goes the health of the cell, so goes the health of the body. And when it comes to the health of the cell, what we really are talking about is how the cell processes energy. It's all about energy. Sickness is a problem with energy. That's pretty much it. So how do you energize a cell? Well, one thing I can tell you is there's nothing a doctor can do to help energize a cell. Period. End of story. There's nothing a doctor can do to help energize a cell. That's the job of food and oxygen and nutrition. I say food. When I say food, I'm assuming it has nutrition in it, but that's not the case, of course. And that's one of the major reasons why we're sick. Now, I should say, a quick digression here. I've been talking about the physical nature of illness and the idea of energy in cells. These are all physical ideas. The spiritual, the mental, and the emotional, they need to be addressed. Sometimes I assume that we all know that, but it bears repeating every once in a while. Sickness, health, both of them, they're all multidimensional. Spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. If you've been listening to this program, bear with me because you know I've said it in the past. If you're new, you may not know that that's my philosophy, that it's spiritual, mental, emotional, and then physical. However, from the physical perspective, there's lots you can do, and a lot of times the disease state can be, at least symptoms of it can be, or even the real causes of it can be addressed by working physically, and that's where nutrition comes in, that's where food comes in, that's where exercise comes in, that's where oxygenation comes in. There's lots of things you can do physically. Okay, so it's all about energy, it's all about the cells. Oxygen comes in through breathing. The big problem is the food. The food is composed of macronutrients and micronutrients. The macronutrients are pure energy. The micronutrients help the body channel that energy or help cells channel that energy. If you're doing the macro without the micro, it isn't going to help. In fact, it's going to really cause problems, and that's a huge health crisis. A major cause of our huge health crisis is the fact that we're eating lots of energy but not getting the nutrients it takes to channel that energy. And that's why micronutrient supplementation can be so helpful, even though it's not ideal. Under ideal circumstances, the foods would be whole. Okay, fine, they're not. So get on a supplement program, help the body channel those nutrients. That's why you lose weight or feel more full when your body's loaded up with nutritional supplements. That's why you want to sip on your Beyond Tangy Tangerine all day long, by the way. That way you top off your tank, your micronutrient tank. You won't feel like snacking as much. And if you do your Beyond Tangy Tangerine before meals or even with meals, you'll help your body process the energy that's trapped in foods, and you'll find yourself satisfied more quickly. You won't be eating as much. So carbs, that's the main source of energy for most of us. That's the easiest source of energy for most of us to obtain. And the body loves carbs. From an evolutionary perspective, we didn't get a lot of carbs, so we became carb-seeking machines, basically. Food manufacturers understand this, and because carbs are so cheap, as of all the food groups, the carbs are the cheapest ones. We are swimming in an ocean of processed carbohydrates. It's endless, literally endless, the amount of access we have to processed carbohydrates. All the processed carbohydrates that are available to us, they're everywhere. You can't go 50 yards without finding a vending machine or a 7-Eleven or a burrito stand or something where you're going to get carbs. But the problem with carbs is while the cells can get energy pretty easily from carbs, i.e. sugar. When I say carbs, I'm talking about sugar. They're very easy for the body to get energy from, but it's not the best source of energy because there's a lot of energy in the carbs and it's easy to access. That very ease of access presents a problem. They're very explosive. They burn quickly. If you go to a grain silo, which is basically pure carbs, you'll see signs that say no smoking because all that pure carb can explode very quickly. If there's ever a fire in a sugar factory, it's a huge problem because sugar burns so hot. If you ever got a sugar burn if you're cooking or baking and you got a sugar burn, you know what I'm talking about. Sugar burns hot. And that's a problem because sugar burns so hot and because it's so unstable, it can actually burn outside a cell. If it burns inside the cell, or the cell can derive energy from it if it burns in the factories, the little energy factories, the mitochondria. But when it burns outside of the cell, it can cause disaster. It can actually, if it burns inside the cell, it can actually be a problem too. It's this burning of sugar that takes place outside the mitochondria that is one of the major causes of aging and disease. This extra mitochondria, or this burning outside the mitochondria that sugar is prone to do, is called glycation, and it's a big, big problem, especially for diabetics and pre-diabetics, but for everybody, because we're all pre-diabetic. This whole term pre-diabetes or pre-hypertension or pre-acne, these pre-diseases, they're basically just the disease, the disease itself, and it demonstrates the arbitrary nature of cutoff points for diagnosing a disease. Diabetes is to be diagnosed a diabetic is somewhat arbitrary. They come up with a number, an arbitrary number, based on statistics to call you a diabetic, and if you're not at that number, you're pre-diabetic, or if you're close to that number, you're pre-diabetic. Anyway, pre-diabetics, diabetics, anybody who's aging at an accelerated pace, pretty much anybody, should start paying attention to this phenomena of glycation. One of the first things you could do, well, a couple things you could do. The first thing you do is make sure you don't have a lot of sugar, and you're not eating a lot of sugar and a lot of processed food. And it's not just sugar like out of a sugar bowl or sugar in soda pop or desserts. Bread is sugar, or it gets turned into sugar quickly. Especially the bread we eat today, pasta, potatoes, all the things we love so much because we are carb-seeking machines. And this glycation, this sugaring of the body, is a leading cause of distress, disease, and accelerated aging for all of us. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back after this. on the bright side. 844-236-6010 is our number, 844-236-6010. If you have questions about the longevity products or Truth Skin Health products, which are all available at truthtreatments.com, or if you have a success story you'd like to share, you want to contribute to the conversation, 844-236-6010 is our number. If you want to purchase longevity products, call 866-735-2470 or head to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com. So, glycation, that's that really nasty effect that sugar has on protein. If you've ever had a hemoglobin A1C test done, that's a glycation test. Doctors just have this fancy term for referring to extra mitochondrial burning, glycation. That's all it is. Glycation is just burning that occurs outside the mitochondria, and it's the result of the very fragile nature of the energy bonds in sugar. These things are designed, they're structured such that their energy is very easy to release. That's why they burn. That's why they burn hot. That's a good thing and it's a bad thing. It's a good thing because it's a great source of energy. It's a bad thing because if it's not controlled, it can cause disaster. And this is one of the reasons why we die, one of the reasons why we age, one of the reasons why we suffer from the health misery associated with diabetes and other diseases. Pretty much all health challenges have an element of this glycation. Sugar is so good at producing energy because it's unstable and because it burns readily. But because it's unstable and it burns readily, it can also be a big problem. Fats, on the other hand, that's not a problem. Fats do not burn as readily. Fats are a slow burn. They're not a sticky burn. They're not a hot burn. If you put sugar in a frying pan, that sugar is going to create a big mess in the frying pan. If you put oil in the frying pan, you won't have anywhere near the mess. Straight oil, you won't have any mess. So fats are a sustained release form of energy, and what's more, fats have way more energy than carbs. So now fats are not only a slower burn, but there's also twice as much energy. So you need a lot less fat to get the same amount of energy than you do from sugar, and you don't get the same kind of burning effect. And that makes fat an ideal or the ideal way to get energy. That's why it always cracks me up when people talk negatively about the ketogenic diet. Ketogenic diet, of course, is a diet that is specifically designed so that you get your energy from fat, not from sugar. And every once in a while, not too often, but every once in a while, I'll read somebody ripping on the ketogenic diet, particularly doctors. Well, if anybody has a bad feeling or advises against the ketogenic diet, they don't understand chemistry. Fats have more energy and a safer energy than carbohydrates, and they're the ideal way to get our energy, and that's what the ketogenic diet is all about. The ketogenic diet is not only important for helping the body get energy from fats, but the ketogenic diet is also important for helping the body use fats in general, for helping the body get fats into the cells. Not only is it important as a source of energy, but it's also important, the ketogenic diet is also important for the delivery of fats. So you get energy from, the ketogenic diet helps you get energy from cells, and it also helps you deliver energy to cells. Make energy it makes it easier for the cells to make energy, and it makes it easier for the cells to get energy. That's because the ketogenic diet supports the production of a very fascinating nutrient called carnitine. I plan on talking about carnitine here in the next few days. I don't want to talk about it too much now, but suffice it to say, the stuff is darn important and darn underappreciated, and it's a product of the ketogenic diet, and it's important for delivering fats into cells. Ketogenic diet helps you make energy from cells. It helps you get the energy into the cells in the first place, or get the fats into the cells in the first place via this really interesting molecule, carnitine. Carne means meat, and you're only going to find carnitine dietary carnitine in animal products. Another reason why it may not be so great to be a vegan. I'm not down on veganism at all, but there are some things that you're not going to get if you are vegan. One of those is the amino acid carnitine. You can make carnitine if you're eating a lot of fat. But again, vegans don't eat a lot of fat either. If you are a vegan, you want to make absolutely sure you're finding a good source of fat. Avocados are probably the first thing that comes to mind, but you're going to be missing omega-3 fats. Seaweed is a good source of omega-3 fats, and green leafy vegetables, lots of green leafies will get you some omega fats. If you're vegan, it's really important that you really do the veg part of the vegan. A lot of vegans are doing the grain part of the vegan, the veggie burger part. But if you're vegan, it's really, really, really important to make sure you're getting lots of salads and mushrooms and algae, mushrooms and seaweed. If you're a vegan, mushrooms and seaweed are very important because mushrooms and seaweed both contain nutrients that are typically not found in most vegetables. Omega-3 fats in the case of seaweed, and vitamin D and vitamin A, and also certain proteins, building proteins that are found in mushrooms. Legumes are okay. Oh, and by the way, I've been getting these Facebooks about the negative things about mushrooms. This one gal in particular sends me these Facebooks periodically. I don't know if she listens to the program, about telling me that mushrooms are fungus. Yes, they are fungus. And it's true. Some people will have reactions to fungus and problems with fungus. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that mushrooms are bad for you. Mushrooms contain wonderful compounds that can be medicinal and can be healing. They're fungus, and people can react. But wonderful healing and anti-aging and protective molecules are found in mushrooms, and they can be particularly helpful for vegans, as I say. Also, algae. Anyway, back to the ketogenic, or back to this whole idea of fats. Fats, as opposed to sugar, are the ideal way to get your energy because fats are stable. You don't have to worry about glycation. They're sustained release, and they're a treasure trove of energy. They've got twice the energy that you'll find in carbohydrates. And if your mitochondria is able to burn fats, this is very important because this is where cancer comes from. If your mitochondria is able to burn fats, you will get way more energy. Way, way, way more energy than if your mitochondria is only burning sugar. Mitochondria burn both sugar and fat. If you have enough fat, they will burn the fat. But if you don't have enough fat, they will go for the sugar. Problem is, the sugar doesn't have anywhere near the end result of energy as the fat. Remember, the mitochondria are taking these sources of energy. They're taking the carbs, and they're taking the fats. They're taking the sugar. They're taking the French fry fat. They're taking the avocado fat. They're taking the egg fat, whatever. They're taking all this fat, and they're combining with oxygen. And they're turning the combination of energy from fat and sugar plus oxygen into a single type of energy. And this single type of energy is what all the cells are used. It's called ATP. So sugar and fat plus oxygen yield ATP, or sugar or fat. If it's sugar, you're not going to get very many ATP. But if it's fat, you're going to get lots of ATP. Fats are a treasure trove of ATP. But in order for that to happen correctly, a lot of chemistry has to go correct. When we are sick and when a cell is lacking the facility to do this on a regular basis, eventually it will turn into another way of existing, another way of getting energy, which is going to be derived from sugar, and that is called cancer. And that's what all cancer cells have in common. They burn sugar rather than fat, and there's a lot of health implications associated with that.
We all have heard.
On the bright side, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for joining us. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7 on the archive pages at brightsideben.com. And also, you can get longevity products at brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. You can also sign up to join the Brightside Ben team off our websites, brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com. Got lines open for you, 844-236-6010, 844-236-6010. I want to talk a little bit about this thing called ASMR. I don't know if you ever heard of this. ASMR, Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. And this is a really kind of interesting phenomena that can be used to leverage the body's healing properties or healing chemistry, healing biology. It's also a very interesting technique for folks who are dealing with insomnia. In fact, it was first discovered as a treatment for insomnia. Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, ASMR, is technically the brain tingles. It's kind of a tingly feeling in the brain or in the head area that some people experience in response to specific triggers, things like whispering or tapping. Some of you may have heard of this phenomena where you do eye taps or you tap on parts of your body. I forgot what they call it. I think they just call it tapping, actually. You can get books on tapping, and there's YouTubes on tapping. And tapping is this kind of, it seems like it's silly, where you just basically use your fingers and you tap on various pressure points in your body. You can tap on various areas of your face. You can tap on your wrist area, your inner wrist area, or tap on your bicep area, or tap right around your groin area. There's different areas where you can just tap your fingers and you can experience healing, according to a lot of alternative health practitioners and a lot of people who have experienced this. ASMR is similar in the sense that ASMR, Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, helps stimulate healing and it just makes you feel good. Helps relieve stress, helps induce sleep, helps you relax via this kind of really strange mechanism of whispering or of sounds. Using, sometimes they'll take, there's lots of these ASMR videos. You can go on YouTube and just Google ASMR. And there'll be people who have a brush, and they'll brush along the microphone. I don't have a brush with me, but make a sound kind of like this. They just do it for an hour. Just you hear this brushing sound on the microphone. And that can actually induce brain tingles. It can induce relaxation. It can induce sleep in some folks, which means, of course, accessing the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your healing nervous system. I love this idea that there are these powerful strategies that we can use that seem airy-fairy, but really, via biochemistry, we can see they have powerful effects. ASMR changes your biochemistry. And it can be something as simple as watching somebody do something. Watching somebody fold napkins can be an ASMR, can have ASMR effects. Watching somebody sort a thimble collection or work with stamps, just watching them can do it. Some people can experience it by having somebody concentrate on them intensely, like when you're getting a haircut or when you're getting an eye exam. Some people will access AMSR biochemistry. Even a video of somebody's hands can do it. I go to a sushi place sometimes, and when you sit at the sushi bar, there's this huge TV that's set up, and all that's on it is fish, except they're fish just swimming, doing nothing. And you watch these fish in their natural habitat, just swimming, doing nothing, or sometimes they'll have a fish in an aquarium. And you can experience this if you have an aquarium. This is why people, one of the reasons why people have aquariums. Just by watching the fish, you will access ASMR chemistry. Just watching the fish can be an ASMR trigger. Getting a haircut can be an ASMR trigger, because for some reason, when somebody pays attention to us, like really close attention to us, like when you get a haircut, we get this triggers ASMR biochemistry. There's a famous experiment that shows people getting triggering ASMR chemistry, which is basically turning your brain into bliss. That's what ASMR does, is it turns your brain into bliss. You just have this incredible, pleasurable sensation. And there are these studies, these research studies that talk about ASMR brain tingles, sometimes they'll call them, that can be activated by somebody looking at you in the eye, even if it's just an eye exam. Even if it's just an eye exam, ASMR activity can be triggered. ASMR effects can be triggered in some people. Some people say it helps with anxiety, it helps with depression, it helps with insomnia. And while there's not a lot of hard science, interestingly, because we're always spending money on drug research, that's where the money is, not on ASMR. That's why you don't hear about these things. Nobody makes any money off of them. But they're powerful, powerful health strategies. So just do a YouTube search on this stuff, ASMR. I'm sure, I would say it's likely that many of you guys have not heard of this stuff because it's really not in the news. It's not something you read about. But if you go on YouTube, you'll see lots of ASMR videos of people crinkling paper or whispering into the microphone. It's actually called whisper therapy. According to Penn State professor of psychology Rich Carlson, whisper therapy can be used to treat insomnia as well as anxiety. It's kind of interesting. All right. 844-236-6010 is our number. Got lines open here for you. From the European Journal of Pharmacology, effects of N-acetylcysteine on a sugar-rich diet reduce hyperglycemia, that is high blood sugar, dyslipidemia, that is messed up blood fats, and oxidative stress in rats. Now, this is very fascinating because when we talk about, and I talk about NAC all the time, N-acetylcysteine, and I use it in my blemish repair complex, and I first learned about the importance of NAC, N-acetylcysteine, in pharmacy school because it is a drug. NAC is a drug that's used for patients who have cystic fibrosis. It helps thin mucus, and then also... cystic fibrosis, that's right. Cystic fibrosis is caused by a lot of mucus, or one of the things that happens when you have cystic fibrosis, a lot of mucus forms in the respiratory tract. So NAC has been used in a product called Mucomist, which is a prescription drug for cystic fibrosis patients that thins the blood. NAC is also emergency room medicine for dealing with liver poison. It'll go right into your blood in the emergency room. And when I first learned about it in pharmacy school, I got to thinking, because I saw NAC in the health food store. So I'm thinking, is that the same stuff? Yes, it is the same stuff. So I did some research. I started to do some research. I started to really get into N-acetylcysteine, and I found the most incredible things. NAC is important for helping protect the skin. NAC is important for helping protect the brain. NAC has brain health benefits for folks who are dealing with addictive issues and anxiety issues and insomnia issues. NAC now, as it turns out, it's been shown that NAC helps protect the body against glycation. That sugaring effect that we were talking about in our last segment. It helps lower blood cholesterol and helps stabilize blood fat. So it's got heart protective benefits, and it's a wonderful antioxidant, of course, too. The neat thing about NAC, of course, is that it's not just a drug. It's also available in the health food store. You know what else? It's pretty darn cheap, and there's no reason why everybody shouldn't be taking a little bit of this stuff every day. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Time to take a break. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll be back on the bright side right after this. Okay, we are back on the bright side, and we do have an empty board at 844-236-6010, so we'll just continue doing some stories, but you got a few more minutes to get on board. If you want to give us a shout, if you have questions about anything we're speaking about here today, glycation, N-acetylcysteine, hyaluronic acid for that matter. Hyaluronic acid is another super interesting anti-glycating agent. That is a substance that helps protect the body from glycation, or the sugaring effect, the burning effect that is associated with sugar. I love hyaluronic acid. Topically, hyaluronic acid in skincare products is becoming quite a fad, by the way. And you should know that when you put hyaluronic acid on the surface of the skin, you're not going to really change your hyaluronic acid, but you will get a softening and water trapping effect on the skin surface that can relieve the discomfort of dry skin in a way that oil and wax and your typical moisturizing products don't. In fact, using hyaluronic acid gel is a really interesting way to soften the skin without having a greasy or oily feel, which can be really appealing for men and for people who have oily skin. Hyaluronic acid gels are readily available. I'm developing one at Truth. We should have it out probably in a couple of months, or maybe 4 to 8 weeks, somewhere in there. My hyaluronic acid hydrator. This activity called hygro, Hygro, scopicity. Hygroscopicity means water trapping. This water trapping property that a lot of substances have can really provide the skin with a lot of relief if you're dealing with dry skin, without having to subject your skin to complicated products, waxes, emulsifiers, surfactants, preservatives. If you use just straight gels on your skin, dilute honey in water can act like a hygroscopic agent. Honey has incredible hygroscopic properties. In fact, all sugar has hygroscopic properties. If you just get table sugar and put it in water and let it dissolve and put it in a spray bottle, If you do too much, it'll be sticky. But if you don't do too much, it has a wonderful water trapping property. All sugars do. In fact, honey's hygroscopic properties, the fact that it absorbs sugar so effectively, is one of the reasons why it's used for wound healing. And another reason why it doesn't need to be preserved. Honey lasts forever because of its hygroscopic properties, its water trapping properties. Bacteria cannot live in honey. In fact, bacteria cannot live in pure sugar. You never have to put preservatives in sugar, and if you had sugar water that had enough sugar in it, bacteria couldn't grow in that either because sugar is so hygroscopic. It sucks the water out of bacteria. That's why honey is antibacterial, and that's why straight sugar, pure sugar, is antibacterial, and that's why both can be used topically. And I like using honey in cleansers, actually. Our high hyaluronic honey cleanser leverages the power of honey because this stuff is so darn hygroscopic and skin softening. All right, 844-236-6010. Let's go to the phones because we have phone calls now. Walt in Boca Raton, good morning. What's going on, Walt?
Hey, Ben. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Quick. Thanks for calling.
Good. Hey, buddy. I've had tinnitus for years, and basically it never really got to me too bad. But of late, the last 6 months, it's just increasingly getting on my nerves. And ironically, I started using the Apple AirPods maybe about 8 to 10 months ago. But I never listened to high music. I mainly listen to motivational information and shows like yours.
Okay.
So it sounds like I'm
smart guy.
Loud music. Yeah, but I'm wondering if you can give me some input on maybe a natural way I could approach this. I don't want to use pharmaceutical.
Yeah. Let's talk about tinnitus. No, that's a great question because it does affect a lot of people, especially older people. You sound kind of young to be dealing with it, which is good news and bad news. The key to understanding tinnitus is understanding what's called comorbidity. Have you ever heard that term? Comorbidity.
Comorbidity is a. Go ahead.
Did you say you had?
I have, but I can't define it. I've heard of it, but I can't define it.
Okay, good. So comorbidity are other diseases or other problems that are associated with one problem. And tinnitus has a comorbidity with diabetes, and it has a comorbidity with high blood pressure. So what you want to think of when you want to think of does either of those, I'm not saying you have those conditions, but I'm saying the fact that those often occur as a syndrome, they often occur together. That is blood sugar problems, hypertension, and tinnitus tells you that the tinnitus is part of a syndrome that is basically the end result of the body breaking down. So you don't address the tinnitus by itself. You address the underlying causes. Now, you probably heard me talk about the triangle of disease. That is the digestive system, the blood sugar system, and the stress management system. When you have a blood sugar problem, you will immediately have a stress management problem, or not immediately, but over the course of time, you'll have a stress management problem, stress system problem, and then all of it is preceded by a digestive problem. So that's where you want to focus. First thing I would do if I were you is I would look for digestive symptomology, because until you correct leaky gut, stuff that's getting into the blood inappropriately, or malabsorption of nutrients, it's going to be really tough to deal with anything else. Secondly, even if you have not been diagnosed as a diabetic, consider yourself to have some kind of blood sugar problem. And just operate that way. Stabilize your blood sugar. Use nutrients that help stabilize your blood sugar, the ultimate niacin, the sweeties, and then staying away from processed sugars, of course, and then also more fiber, more protein. There's lots of strategies for helping reduce your sugar intake. And then relax the body, calm the body down. Use relaxation techniques. Maybe this, we talked just a moment ago about this ASMR technique. Anything you do to relax the body, activate the healing system, healing part of the body. Also, a couple other things. See if you can notice when your tinnitus gets worse. Does it get worse when when you eat sugar? Does it get worse when you eat certain foods? Does it get worse at the same time that you have some digestive issues? Does it get worse when you're under some kind of duress, whatever that may be, psychological duress or emotional duress or physical duress? See if you can notice that. See if you can chart your tinnitus and your tinnitus symptoms. And then last but not least, there's some specific antioxidants and anti-inflammatories that I would use if I were you. Zinc, I would definitely get on 50 milligrams of zinc a day. I would definitely get on 400 international units of vitamin E a day. I would definitely get on magnesium and selenium, both of which can have a calming effect on the nerves. Go ahead.
What type of magnesium?
magnesium glycinate I like, or the Osteomag from Longevity. And then don't forget your Ultimate EFAs. They're wonderfully anti-inflammatory, and tinnitus is literally an inflammatory condition that affects the nerves. So, it's hard to direct the nutrients right to the nerves inside the head or in the inner ear area. But when you help support the body's global antioxidant abilities or antioxidant properties globally, you'll affect the ears as well. You'll affect the inner ear as well.
Okay.
All right?
Good deal.
All right, good deal, Walt. Thanks so much for calling. Appreciate it. Have a beautiful day. Let's go to my friend Skinny Robert. Skinny Robert. What's up, Skinny Robert?
Hey, just another day in paradise.
All right, love it. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You got me sidetracked with that last caller because I've had tinnitus all my life.
Oh, your whole life?
Yeah, pretty much.
How do you deal? Doesn't it drive you nuts?
Well, when I think about it, I mean, it's
You just kind of tune it out?
I do tune it up. I mean, I've tried, all the doc says and taken all that kind of stuff, and it's
you got to have. What's your blood sugar? Have you had your blood sugar checked? I would guess that's what would it be with you. It would have something to do with blood sugar. But just general global breakdown. Here's the thing about tinnitus and a lot of things that we suffer from. There's just the end result of general global systemic breakdown in the body. It's like I was talking a couple days ago about this thing called multiple system organ failure. It's like an official diagnosis when your body's just completely falling apart. Well, we're all suffering from a degree of that as we age. The body starts to break down as we age. And that is the end result of an accelerated bodily breakdown, tinnitus. Something is really breaking down fast, but it's nonetheless the end result of just a global systemic deterioration of the body, and you don't need to address the tinnitus by itself. You just start to strengthen the body. And that's the whole philosophy here. That's how disease and health need to be addressed. You just strengthen the body. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well,
what were you going to ask me?
DDT, I do,
It's more than that, my friend.
Sticks, niacin.
Robert, it's way more than that. Way more than what you're doing. It's an entire lifestyle thing, and the tinnitus is just the tinnitus is like a diagnostic tool. It's like your what do you call those things on your car? Your engine light and your repair light and all those things. So yours isn't like going off like it's an alarm. Like you better get the car right. You know what I'm saying? It's not like your car is going to completely explode in a second. But your meters are still a little bit. They still need to be recentered. And that's just one of the tinnitus is just, I don't want to say the idiot light, but that's basically what it is. It's an it's an idiot light. All right, hey, we're out of time, Robert. I hope I didn't steal your thunder there.
We'll talk again.
Okay, thanks, buddy. Have a good day. All right. Health is simple, you guys, and our disease states, so-called disease states, are our idiot lights, and we just got to figure out what's going on in the engine. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for listening to The Bright Side. Have yourselves a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.